From downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at noon starts now.
We'd love to see a little bit of sunshine, and we've got some coming. All in all, not a terrible holiday weekend. We've got you covered.
And a house explodes on Detroit's west side. Now we're learning what caused the blast. But first, strangers rush in to help after two boys are attacked by dogs. And that's where we begin this noon. Thanks so much for joining us. These two young boys are recovering in the hospital right now after being attacked by two pit bulls on Detroit's west side. It happened at the corner of Hubble and Puritan after the brothers were dropped off at school. And that's where we find Local 4's Coco McAvoy this noon. Coco, talk us through what happened.
Rhonda, police say the brothers, ages 10 and 12 years old, had just been dropped off at school. They decided to look for a store to buy some candy, and a dog started chasing them. So the two little boys then jumped this fence to try to seek refuge, but they did not know that two pit bulls were behind that fence. And then a group of Good Samaritans jumped in to save the little boys.
My heart was dropping because I was like, the boy crying out like, I don't want to die, I want to die.
Elgin Harris was on his way home from work when he encountered an awful situation, starting with a little girl screaming for help.
I said, what's wrong, what's wrong? I said, the boy over the fence, the dog's attacking him.
So Harris went to see what was going on.
But I looked over, it was two of them. One dog had the boy by his thigh, and the other one had by his under his arm.
Harris says his instincts kicked in, and without thinking, he
hopped over the fence, took my shirt off, and I started beating one dog off.
Harris was able to save one of the little boys, but the second little boy was trapped, and that's when officers arrived.
And they were viciously attacking this one kid.
Lieutenant Ron Lockhart says first responders then jumped the fence.
The officers were able at some point to distract the dogs, get in there, and then they end up shooting the dogs because the dogs were attacking the kid.
The 10-year-old boy is in temporary serious condition. His 12-year-old brother in stable condition. But if it wasn't for the help of officers and Good Samaritans, the outcome would have been much worse.
I'm proud, real proud, and feel good about it. That saved two little boys, somebody's son.
And police say there was a second Good Samaritan involved in this, a man who also decided to jump the fence before officers arrived. So a lot of heroes involved in this story. Back to you.
Oh, thank goodness those Good Samaritans were nearby and jumped in to help. In terms of the dog's owner in all of this, kind of innocently just had their dogs out in their backyard secure. Is there any charges that could be filed here?
No, so no charges that the owner is facing. I actually just spoke to him a few minutes ago. The owner he owns this building right here. It's a vacant building. However, they work on bikes inside of this store, and they have this fence for security. He also says he had the dogs for security, and he says he raised them from the time that they were little pups. So he says it's an unfortunate situation all around, but he's very thankful as well that the boys are okay.
Absolutely, aren't we all? All right, Coco, thank you. A cool and cloudy start to the day, and Brandon, everybody after yesterday and this morning are ready for some sunshine to kick off our barbecues in this holiday weekend.
Believe it or not, Rhonda, the same batch of rain from yesterday that moved out is still continuing to spin some clouds, and even a little drizzle our way up in St. Clair County, where temperatures are a little bit cooler. Sandusky 56, Port Huron 59, while we have 62 degrees at Metro Airport, 62 up in Howell, also in Ann Arbor. So 62 now with the clouds around. Hello, sunshine, are you coming? Yes, as we head after 2 o'clock, we do expect to tap into some of that sun, and temperatures will try to take off. Upper 60s to low 70s with a mix of clouds and sun. But again, we're seeing more of these clouds than we would like, especially north. And you just see a couple of speckles and freckles here. St. Clair, Lapeer counties, some of that probably not even hitting the ground, but it's all spinning around the wet weather maker from yesterday. There is a look, though, at some clearing out to our west. So we're hoping and praying for that very soon. There's also a little bit of wet weather out there over the Mississippi River, and we'll talk about some post-midnight shower chances as we start the weekend coming up, Rhonda.
All right, tricky forecast. We look forward to hearing back from you, Brandon. Thank you. On Detroit's west side, a stolen furnace is to blame for causing this house to explode. Investigators say that someone stole the furnace from the home, which led to the gas filling up in the house. They think that the explosion happened when a flame from the water heater ignited the gas. Local 4's Nick Monticelli joins us now from Evergreen Road near Warren with a closer look at all the damage.
Good afternoon. It is amazing that nobody was hurt in this, because there was nobody inside of the home. But even when you look at the houses surrounding and the damage, if the debris field would have gone either way instead of towards the street, this could have been much worse. Now, video from overnight doesn't paint the best picture, but I do want to show it to you just so you kind of get a sense of what things were like overnight. This explosion happened about 3 o'clock in the morning. The front of the home was blown onto the sidewalk. That's got to be about 25 yards. 2 homes on each side both have some damage, but nobody was hurt in those homes. We've talked to a lot of people, those who live next to it, those who lived across from it, even those who were down the street and felt and heard the explosion.
How did the kitchen end up in the sidewalk? I mean, the kitchen on the sidewalk or whatever, and it's bad, it's bad.
By the time we got up, tried to run to the side, check on the dogs, the side of the doors had been blew in, the glass, crack in the wall. It's crazy. It's been a long night.
Taking a look now at some video from Sky 4 overhead also gives you a pretty interesting vantage point perspective on how massive this explosion was. And now we can look at the cars. So there's a car parked in a driveway that's got a lot of damage to it. Detroit says that car may be totaled. And again, they've got a lot of work to do to their home, cracks in the walls, doors that were blown open. And to give you some even more perspective, we were talking to somebody who was inside of a gas station, which is about 4 or 5 houses down. They say that when the explosion happened at 3 a.m., the doors to the gas station blew wide open, and there were police officers maybe 3 or 4 blocks away. They too could hear and feel this explosion. We're live here on Detroit's west side. Nick Monticelli, Local 4.
Thank goodness no one was seriously hurt, Nick. Thank you. A hearing that will determine if Dr. Larry Nassar will head to trial is now underway in Ingham County. The former gymnastics doctor is facing more than 20 sexual assault charges. His accusers say that he molested them both at his Michigan State University campus clinic and his home basement where he treated some of his patients. 4 more accusers are expected to testify today. We will have updates of what happens in court throughout the day on clickondetroit.com and live reports on Local 4 News later today at 5. Now to the very latest on the ongoing investigation into the deadly bombing in Manchester, England. British police made more arrests and raids overnight as they continue to search addresses associated with the bomber Salman Abedi, who killed 22 concert goers on Monday at the Manchester Arena. Now, police say that these new arrests are significant, but did not go into detail about who was arrested. UK's threat level remains at critical as worries about another attack persist in this country. 75 people were injured in the attack and do remain hospitalized with multiple different types of injuries. A stretch of US 23 in Livingston County is back open after a semi rolls over. This was the scene this morning along northbound US 23 near North Territorial. You can see that semi. It was rolled over there on the side ditch. Traffic was being diverted off the freeway, but traffic has since reopened. Still ahead here at noon, Republican Greg Gianforte declares victory in Montana. What he had to say about allegations of body slamming a reporter. Plus, 10 masked gunmen opened fire into a bus full of people overseas, why investigators say the bus was targeted. But first, President Trump ends his first overseas visit in Italy. What issues he's expected to address during the G7 summit.
Bringing home a fallen comrade. Today at 4 on First at 4, we take you live with a group who are searching from the middle of Lake Huron for a fallen Air Force pilot. He went down more than 50 years ago. One witness on board says the Air Force got it wrong. They were looking in the wrong place the whole time. Today at 4 on First at 4, we take you on their search. Kind of a ragtag team of veterans trying to find their fallen comrade to bring him home. We've got the story for you.
Welcome back, everybody. President Trump is in Sicily this afternoon for the start of the G7 summit. This is the last stop on the president's first overseas trip that took him to Saudi Arabia, Israel, Rome, and Brussels. Jay Gray joins us from the site of the G7 with the issues expected to dominate the meetings.
This scenic overlook the backdrop for serious discussions as the G7 summit begins in Sicily. The leaders gathered under intense security. Warships off the coast of the island, soldiers on the ground, fitting as President Trump looks to talk defense here.
We'll be discussing terrorism, but I think we will really be in particular focused on the North Korea problem. It's a big problem.
On the heels of the country's latest missile test earlier this week, the White House also expects a, quote, robust discussion on trade and climate change. The president has threatened to walk away from the 2015 Paris Agreement to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and has already signed a series of executive orders repealing environmental regulations that were put in place to ensure the U.S. would meet those emissions targets. He's expected to get strong pushback to remain a part of the plan to combat global warming, but has said he won't make a final decision until he's back in Washington. Jay Gray, NBC News, Taormina, Sicily.
2 more victims have died in the attack targeting a bus in Egypt. Egyptian officials say that the death toll has now risen from 26 to 28 after mass gunmen opened fire today on a bus carrying Coptic Christians south of Cairo. The attack happened while the bus was traveling to a monastery. No group has claimed any responsibility for the attack yet, which is the 4th attack in Egypt since December targeting Christians. Republican Greg Gianforte has won the special election for Montana's sole U.S. House seat. The Republicans' victory came just one day after being charged with misdemeanor assault following accusations that he body slammed a reporter to the ground. In his acceptance speech, he apologized.
Last night I made a mistake. And I took an action that I can't take back. And I'm not proud of what happened. I should not have responded in the way that I did, and for that I'm sorry.
Gianforte will replace Ryan Zinke, who is now President Trump's Interior Secretary. An 8-year-old's action saves 2 family pets from a fire. What he did that alerted firefighters that something was wrong. Brandon?
Well, it is the big holiday weekend, a lot of festivities, a lot of family plans, right? So some sunshine trying to break through as we speak, some rain chances at times. Your Memorial Day weekend forecast next.
She's a local 10-year-old battling a 1 in a million disease.
It's like trying to say to someone, oh, I have this, and they don't believe you.
I'm Dr. Frank McGeorge. Tonight at 11, the symptoms that tipped off Grace's mom and why they hope her case can give hope to others.
Chicken Shack and
we were in a violent.
Well, when you look at all the events on this weekend's calendar, we're really trying to plot, okay, when do we do the barbecues outside? When do we go to Movement? When do we go to that? It's an art event that's happening at Eastern Market.
Yes, the Polish Festival.
The Polish Festival's going on out in Bloomfield, or Commerce, so.
A lot of pressure on this guy.
There is. I'm ready to take notes on when is a good time to be outside.
All week, the information has been getting slightly better and better and better. And so it's not going to be perfect, but, you know, this time of year never is. So I think our expectations are that exactly. They're not low, but we just know things can happen. We do have some decent weather and a couple of areas that will want you to be sort of eyes to the skies. 62 degrees out there right now. As soon cruising along. As soon as we get that sunshine busting through, we'll probably get another 8 to 10 degrees pretty quickly. The winds are going to be shifting from the west-northwest to the west-southwest, and that's going to help to nudge some of these clouds out of here. So we're going for upper 60s to low 70s, which is pretty much right where we should be here toward the end of May, and more sunshine as we get into the 2, 3 o'clock hours and beyond. That being said, there's also some scattered showers coming into the area late tonight and more likely overnight, but maybe as early as 11 p.m., something like that. And more model data is suggesting more like 1 a.m., so not very impactful for those out and about. But for tomorrow, after showers leave the area by 6 or 7 a.m., 77, partly sunny, but we'll call it mostly dry with the threat of a morning shower. And on Sunday, this is the day we need to watch. In the afternoon hours, 76 degrees, scattered storms, and we're under a marginal risk for severe weather on Sunday afternoon. That's the weakest level, but still 1 or 2 gusty storms possible. Monday, looking better and better. 75 Memorial Day with a mix of sun and clouds. So again, these clouds are sort of debris clouds from that big rainmaker we had yesterday. And there you see a couple of spritzes and sprinkles over parts of St. Clair, maybe even Macomb County, spinning around this big weather maker that is now just slowly over the New England and northeastern part of the U.S. You can see the clearing back here. So we just need to slowly pull this stuff out of here. And then you can see some wet weather over the Mississippi River, and that's what we're talking about for late tonight. Here's 8 p.m. and it's still not really here. It's on our doorstep, but as we get into the 1, 2 o'clock hours in the morning, closer to the Ohio border, the better chance for some soaking showers. But you can see Saturday, things are looking better and better here. We mentioned Sunday afternoon, eyes to the skies just in case, because, you know, barbecue plans, things like that. The local forecasters app, radar, it should be in your back pocket all weekend long. But again, looking good 3 out of the 4 holiday weekend days. Rhonda?
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Brandon. An 8-year-old is being recognized for his heroic, quick-thinking actions that help save his family's pet. Little Quentin says that he came home from school last week, and when he opened the front door, he saw smoke everywhere. And that's when Quentin says he quickly recalled what firefighters taught him to do during a visit to his school last year.
I know what to do. I need to go to the fire department and get them so they can put it out. I crossed the street, and then this lady picked me up and drove me the rest of the way.
He saved our dog and cat, and he saved our house.
Pretty remarkable. Firefighters were able to contain the fire to the family's kitchen, and their dog Molly and cat Charlie escaped the fire, all thanks to their young owner. And with Brandon tracking the wet weather for Sunday, it may be a good time to do something indoors. How about going to see a movie? Your box office preview is coming up next.